books. Only this person who works in this museum publishes an entire catalog of things that you can only find in their office in that museum, right?
Yeah.
So I think that would be really important for, you could start with Kazakhstan, and then sort of balloon outward from there. But this sort of old tradition of museums having their own publishing presses or their publishing houses or whatever, and the distribution is what was really difficult there. Mostly just publishing these things for themselves and for the record of the museum. But now that we have, easy access to all these different things, it would be great to digitize a lot of that. And by crowdsourcing is probably the easiest way to do that, because it'd be impossible for one person to go around and scan all these books and do everything.
Additionally, I've written a research paper, and I'm into engineering, and when we try to access data, it's mostly you have to pay something, and it's on some other websites and you can't even access it, and you have to just use somebody from bad research, not in depth, and in depth costs money, and we use mostly Google Scholar. Google Scholar is great.
And they're not user friendly as well, so it's really hard to manage through this information and find only the things that you need and sort it out. So it would be nice to have a thing that you have everything on the one website, and you can find it through buttons and.
Like stone tools, ceramics, human bones, animal bones, I don't know, symbolic objects, whatever. So, because the data collection, as you say, it varies among people. For example, Rita and I, we do the same period of archaeology, right? We investigate the same period, but he will have data collection strategy different than mine, right? It'll be different, a little bit different, the way how we approach things. And in Bronze Age and the later periods will also be different, including the excavation strategies.
Yeah, but I think, also when you have a repository like this, it's important to have everything, right? Field notes even, I think, would be essential, because a lot of times, things are happening during an excavation, you only get that one shot at learning anything about how that excavation is going. So people taking notes, something as simple as that, you can trace back some maybe inconsistencies in the data later on.
Yeah, the question is how many people will be willing to share it?
Yeah.
Because there will be territorial people who do not want anybody,
But mostly we're looking at these things, the field notes, it gets to that point when most people are dead and they're just in a museum, right? And that's sort of where a lot of these questions are coming from, right? It's what was happening in the 70s and the 80s and the 50s and the 40s with these early excavations, where there are a lot of notes about these things, but sometimes we don't really know the exact context except for what's written in a lot of these notes.
Where you entry code, and it just makes you download a PDF file that uploads every information. I don't know, it gives you all the information you need. Something like that, or how?
So for example, here's some of my forms from the record keeping I do for my field work. I have forms where I have different categories of things I'm looking at and different information that I'm recording, and then I have an Excel spreadsheet, and then I go in and I enter it from paper into Excel. I don't do it, my RAs do it. my students do it for me. But it's our way of making sure that all of our entries are standardized. So every piece of data we collect is all together in the same way. Sometimes we might not have data for each little point, and that's okay too. But at least everything will be, we record it in a similar way, so it's kind of standardized. But you could do something like that too, where you make it where there's flexibility, but a similar model. That way every time, then the data would be really comparative when it's on your website.
Okay.
But